Hi, welcome to our CAWASA Wednesday webinar. This is webinar number 11 of 2025. And I'm Ignatius Jean, the Executive Director at CAWASA, as your host. Today, we are fortunate to have with us Mr. Jim or Jawaharlall Ramjug of the GWI. He is an engineering and management professional with 16 years experience in public and private experience. He was previously the head of the, sorry, I'm just having a little challenge here. Yeah, he was previously the head of the non-revenue water at the Guyana Water Incorporated and has served in multiple capacities within the GWI, such as operations director, head of field services, regional manager, and engineer. He was awarded the best regional manager in 2015, and in 2017, he was awarded for the best achievement in leakage management at the GWI. He recently functioned as a senior accounts processor in the operations of one of the world's most respected banks, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, CIBC, in Toronto Financial District, where he dominated the global operations workwear, GOW. He has attended numerous training courses in management and water from renowned global players such as Red R, UK, Jeffco, UNDP, and JICA. He completed an MSc from the Cranfield University, UK, in Water and Sanitation for Development, and an MBA from the Australian Institute of Business. He graduated with a distinction in mechanical engineering from the Universidad de Cienfuegos, Cuba, and an associate diploma in electrical engineering from the University of Guyana. He previously volunteered in the Civil Defense Commission of Guyana, and was an active member of the Region 6 Intelligence Committee. He is a member of the Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association and has presented technical papers on various topics such as slow filtration management, and non-revenue water. Jim is popularly known in Guyana and is presently the executive operations. Ramjug is popularly known in Guyana as Jim and is presently the executive operations director of the GWI, a department that manages 541 employees, produces and distributes an average of 15 million cubic meters of potable water on a monthly basis. He recently successfully completed the KCCP course in Japan. Jim is bilingual and served as a lecturer at Guyana's CPC College. He is also licensed under the Ontario Water and Wastewater Certification Office as a water and wastewater operator. Well, I have told you a lot about Jim, and it's now time for him to tell you about his own experiences. And
I don't think he's got any time now, Ignatius.
And the topic is lessons learned from Knowledge Creation Program, that of his recent experiences at Okinawa in Japan. Over to you, Jim.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. I see a few names that I recognize from JICA, St. Lucia, the Dominican Republic. I think someone I met at CWWA conference the last time. So I see familiar faces. And for those that we're meeting for the first time, mucho gusto. I am pleased to meet you, and I hope this is the beginning of a journey, as I am fanatics in the water industry. So feel free to interact whilst I try to share my screen to have the presentation up. I don't like to speak alone. You can always raise your hand ask a question. No question is a stupid question. Ask anything. Even if you wonder why the sky is blue, and I'm not talking about that, interaction is important. So I click on my screen to share. So can you confirm you're seeing my presentation at your end, my PowerPoint?
Yes, we
Yes,
are.
we are. You
All
just
right.
need to put it in presentation mode now.
Excellent. So we are on the same page. As I said, interaction is key. It will be of no use to all of us, me alone speaking, because then I don't know if you are with me, you're following, and if I'm making sense. I did a presentation to my CEO at GWI, and I think Mr. Ignatius was invited, and at that presentation, he asked me to do the same presentation here. But of course, I did a little bit tweaking because I understand that CAWASA, which is my first time interacting with you, I am pleased, has operators that are technically inclined in the system and throughout the Caribbean. So I add a few more slides. I don't intend to keep you like more than an hour, if so long, but this journey, I will take you along with me from Guyana, South America, to Okinawa, Japan. And through this journey, I will tell you a little bit about Guyana, my company, GWI. Well, it's government owned, but I say my company because I work there. And I will tell you about the experience primarily in Japan, and then we will come back to the Caribbean, Guyana context. So without any further ado, let me have my presentation mode expand and right into it. So the outline of this presentation, ladies and gentlemen, is, as I said, a little brief about Guyana. So we put things into context. Then we come to GWI, where I work, and we get into majority of the presentation about KCCP. What about the KCCP? Learning that I would have extracted, and any other operators from the Caribbean or any part of the world can go to Japan and learn these things. How we at GWI benefited. I'm having a ping. I don't know if someone is trying to come in. How GWI can benefit from this training, and my 3-year action plan that I am working on since returning to Guyana. And of course, it is not purely a technical presentation, even though there are things about water treatment. There is some cultural experience that will be shared, and my conclusion and Gantt chart. So Guyana, as you know, has been on the world news for various reasons, is located in South America, bordered by our neighbor Venezuela to the west, Suriname to the east, Brazil to the south and southwest, and the mighty Atlantic Ocean to the north. Our climatic condition, where we experience tropical climate just like the rest of you in the Caribbean, characterized by hot and humid condition, moderate by northeast trade winds. So our population is less than 1 million. It has been so since time immemorial. A lot of people say that it will increase with the finding of oil. However, I do not see that happening. So we're just about 750,000 at the moment, and that data is from the 2023 census. Key industries, Guyana economy has been based primarily on agriculture, mining, forestry, with key exports including sugar, rice, gold, timber, and of course, as you would know, the recent discovery of significant offshore oils since 2025. As a matter of fact, I had experience working in the rice industry, the sugar industry, and the bauxite industry. Our natural environment, Guyana boasts diverse ecosystems, including vast rainforests, savannas, and rich biodiversity of flora and fauna. Approximately 77% of the country land areas covered by forests. And just for note, our cultural heritage, Guyana cultural heritage, is a blend of its diverse ethnic group, including East Indian, the Africans, Amerindians, Chinese, Portuguese, and of course, influences from Europe. Historically, Guyana history includes periods of Dutch and British colonial rule. It gained independence from the United Kingdom on 26th of May, 1966. So that's Guyana in a summary. Let us look at GWI, the organization that I'm working for within Guyana. And it is the only national water utility that supplies potable water to the 83,000 square mile, and that less than 1 million inhabitants. So Georgetown Sewage and Water Commission, or GSNWC as it was called then, was established on the 23rd of March, 1929. It was a public sector institution under the control of the Minister of Works. Guyana, or Guywa as it's known, Guyana Water Authority, was established in 1972, about 43 years or so after. Its main activities includes the construction, operation, and maintenance of water distribution system in order to supply potable water. Now, maybe about another 30 years after, Guyana Water Incorporated, GWI, which is now known worldwide, was established, resulting from the merger of Georgetown Sewage and Water Commission, GSNWC, and Guywa. And that took place on May the 30th, 2002. So GWI main mission is to deliver safe, adequate, affordable water to ensure safe sewer system for improved public health and sustainable economic development. So yes, my portfolio entails both water and sanitation management within GWI. This is some quick stats on GWI to close off information on GWI. And this is a dynamic stat. They change rapidly with new infrastructure and project on board. For the sections that I'm controlling, there are 144 wells on the coastline, roughly around 180,000 customers, 24-hour operations. We have team working around the clock, holidays, weekend, nights. We adhere to the World Health Organization guideline for drinking water. At the time of preparation of this report, there were about 1,200 employees. But due to attrition and different factors, that figure fluctuate. At the moment, we have 29 water treatment plants, but with the massive and aggressive expansion to have treated water, by the end of 2025, we're going to change from that 29 to 51 water treatment plant. We utilize the slow sand filtration technology, as well as the rapid sand filters, the inline filters, as our main form of filtration technology for those 51 plants. And the main form of disinfecting the water is chlorination. We utilize both ground and surface water, with majority of the water used for treatment is from the groundwater source. As you can see, 144 wells. So, I told you about Guyana in a brief. I gave you an overview of my organization that I work for, GWI. Before I take you to Japan, let me introduce how I get there. And you will hear me referencing to the KCCP, which means the Knowledge Cocreation Program. So JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, Knowledge Cocreation Program KCCP is a form of technical cooperation that JICA carries out in Japan. Yes, you need to go to Japan. It's not done virtually. Some of the knowledge that Japanese society has accumulated, including its background in areas such as organizational know-how and social system, can be understood through first-hand experience. So, the KCCP application process, it's open without bias to any gender and any group of people. There is no special conditional requirement. Of course, I think you need to be of mature age. I can't remember, but I'm thinking it's over 35 of age. And you have 5 application form that you need to complete. Of course, the form need to be filled by yourself and your supervising officer, and you need to be nominated by your organization or any reputable organization acceptable by JICA. And of course, your form need to be completed and follow and adhere to your organization and the government rules for sending an individual on behalf of the government out of the country. Questionnaires on such as medical and dietary condition, all of those must be declared. So in submitting the application form, you may take into consideration that you need to have copy of your passport. You need to confirm the application procedure stipulated by your government, as mentioned before. You need to submit original application form with all necessary documents to the responsible organization that nominated you through them to JICA in order to complete the application, and that your participation may be denied if you fail to provide all required information. But I must tell you, when you're applying, the people responsible from JICA, they're very helpful and they give clear guidance on this process. So, to recap so far, before we get into the meat of the presentation, I welcome you to Guyana, then to my company, and then we talk about briefly about the KCCP application process. Now, let us look at the KCCP journey, which is the title of this presentation. So, for the journey, we will look at an overview of the KCCP program, a summary of key topics covered under that program, the relevance of the training to my organization or yours if you intend to go, best practices and innovation approaches observed during the training, key takeaways applicable to local condition within the Caribbean, adaptability of the Japanese practices to local condition, challenges and consideration for the KCCP, the action plan that was constructed during the time spent in Japan with the help of the professor and the organizers there. My impression about Japan, of course, I can encourage you to participate and don't tell you what is my impression. A transparent one, of course. And what was my most enjoyable experience about the KCCP? So let's get into the journey of the KCCP. Quickly overview of this program is that it was about a month long in person, and it took place at the Okinawa International Center, OIC for short. Primarily, the language of interaction is English. There are some level of Japanese, but need not to be worried because there is an interpreter most of the time. The sessions were in class, lectured, as well as field visits. They were theoretical and hands-on, practical. There were a lot of visits, water companies such as Naha City, Okinawa City, Miyako Jima, Uruso City, Nago City, Uroma City. It is important to list these visits because This is not your typical in class that you do a lot of theory and just go to one location. You're given accessibility to different water company. As I mentioned, in Guyana, we only have GWI. It is not the case in Japan. They have numerous water company. And of course, they have umbrellas under the government, but they're not totally dependent on each other. There are separations of duty where you can visit and see different style of management and technology being employed by the different water company in different cities. The key learning. Yes, I noticed I misspelled learning there. The key learning and insights. We did a lot of operations management, which is my bread and butter here at GWI. I've been operations manager for quite some time. And in Japan, I was fortunate to interact with people in operations management to learn how they employ lean inventory, lean technology, the Six Sigma principle and way of having work done with higher level of efficiency. A majority of the course was focused on the slow sand filtration, which they have revolutionized the name from slow sand filtration to ecological purification system. And they went on to make a bucket model. A large part of the slides to come will focus on the slow sand filtration technology, as this is something being used in countries such as England. The Thames Water utilizes this technology, and the Netherlands, and of course, Japan and other countries in Asia. Water supply services in different locations, Miyakojima, Nakajini, service reservoir in Irabu, water sources in different water treatment plant. As I mentioned, we use both surface and groundwater, and that is similar for Japan. We had key insights into their construction sites at Kajiro Water Treatment Plant. The AutoCAD and the GIS mapping system that they utilize, and of course the big one, the NRW or the DMO pressure management, which is something most utility are heading towards, if not there already. Water quality and their billing system. So the relevance of training from the KCCP to GWI or our organization here. The KCCP is a relevant training course to GWI as it supports growth and sustainability to this organization. It offers a multitude of benefits that enhance both individual performance and overall success. The enhanced performance in the form of training provided the necessary skills and knowledge to perform duties effectively, leading to increased productivity and quality of work. Increased satisfaction and fostering growth. Provide valuable lesson on best practice in other parts of the world. Yes, I was able to establish contact and exchange literature with other participants that were present at this training. Relevance also, they address skill gaps in adapting to technological advances. The training provided accessibility to numerous water companies exposing their technologies, techniques, and installation. In short, they did not hold back. They gave free access to whatever technology they utilizes there. Best practice and innovative approaches observed. There are so many good things observed, but I managed to summarize 7 of the main one applicable to GWI. If we were to go through the list, it would have been 30 odd plus, and we could not complete that in this hour. So, in no particular order of priority, the Japanese method of computing effective and ineffective water. Why this is a best practice considered by me? Because other institutions such as IWA, which many water company follow, utilizes a form of computing non-revenue water. And the Japanese reviewed their own method and they came up with effective and ineffective water. Later on in the presentation, I'll probably show you once time permit this on a table format. Pressure testing in the Caribbean or specifically Guyana. We do pressure testing with a lot of bulky equipment. They have very small handheld equipment which provide the same level of results. Water quality tests in the lab and in the fields. They have many mobile units. At my company, we utilize basically the lab technician to conduct field and in-lab tests. But in their system, almost everyone that work with the water distribution and production network, they're able to do on-demand tests with mobile test kit. They have the reagents also on the vehicle and they're able to conduct those lab tests. The mapping and the billing software are something that they have local companies, third party playing a role in their organization where they transfer a lot of their risk, unlike GWI. They have very stringent and robust project management technique that they apply that helps them to have better output and higher level of efficiency. And they are very big. They invest a lot on the slow sand filtration technology or the ecological purification system because the technology was widely studied by renowned professor Dr. Nakamoto, and there are a lot of literature presented in Japan about this technology where they're utilizing to the best of their advantage. This slide answers the question of the key takeaways applicable to Guyana. And I summarized 3 of the main activities or learning from the KCCP that is applicable. As I mentioned, the effective and ineffective computation of water usage, that add a lot of benefit to GWI, and we are on the table right now considering adaptability of this method. Of course, it has to go through a lot of presentation and interpretation before the company can adopt this method. The pressure testing, we're already making plan to have more efficient. If you look to the right, the extreme right, the picture with the gentleman leaning over, there we have the pump to the right of his foot showing that that's a basic handheld pump that can use to do the pressure testing with a few buckets of water after the line have been primed. And on the ecological purification system, the first photo on the left, you notice the 2 gentlemen standing with their caps. They're testing the effectiveness of the ecological purification system. And the bottom photo is showing the laboratory test being done in the field by a mobile unit. So, adaptability of Japanese practices to local condition. In my opinion, all of the technologies are adaptable. It comes down, however, to the willingness, the cost, and the understanding of the technology and techniques. Of course, training must be conducted before these can be implemented in your organization. We need to look at the change already made. We are already making changes on the ecological purification system, which I have prepared detailed training to 16 plant operator, and we will roll out that with the permission of our training officer in GWI. We are making changes to the pressure testing, the mapping, and the pressure management in our organization. And we are looking at changes for consideration, such as the effective and ineffective water balance. Now, this is referring to the KCCP directly. One of the challenges that may encounter is organizational support, specifically referring to GWI, and that will require implementation of the action plan, which so far we seems to be overcoming this challenge. The slow sand filtration technology is not widely used in Guyana and the Caribbean, so buy-ins may be a challenge with respect to this. I know a lot of you are water practitioners from the Caribbean. I don't know if you have any slow sand filters in your system, but I hope by the end of this presentation, you can share that information. Because as far as I know where my interaction happened at the CWWA, I think only Guyana so far, to the best of my knowledge, is utilizing this technology. Consideration, high consideration is given to implementing the action plan and advancing the knowledge gain. And I would be advocating for future participation in the JICA training program. So what is the plan? The plan is, of course, to train, because it will be useless for me to have the exposure and keep the knowledge without training. Of course, I plan a 2-day training at a different location, and that training plan is submitted to GWI management for approval. So transfer of knowledge is required. The knowledge that we gain from Japan, as I mentioned, it will be useless to venture across the ocean all the way to Okinawa, return to South America, and not transfer the knowledge. So we want to implement the best practices. We want to improve GWI overall operational efficiency.
Hello, baby.
So we conduct an analysis of the current situation. Mind you, in 2008, JICA constructed a water treatment plant at Queenstown. This sample was taken from Queenstown, and we compare it with the WHO standard for drinking water. And if you notice under the microbe test, the total coliform did not pass. I highlighted that in red. So that is one finding from our analysis of the slow sand filters. Now, the current situation is that there is a need for updated staff training on these slow sand filters since they were built in 2008. The research conducted by Dr. Nakamoto on the slow sand filter indicates that operations and maintenance practices need to be updated since there is knowledge gap in this technology. So the current state, in order to move it to the desired state, with the help of JICA training, which I have received, we will implement the action plan, which I will show you shortly. The analysis shows that in 2008, when JICA constructed the slow sand filter in Corriverton, there were 8 plant operators that received training. However, because of attrition, most of these staff were changed, leaving a team with limited understanding of the functionality of the EPS or the smush deck layer. The smush deck layer, I hope I have a picture in that slide, but the smush deck layer is actually, when you look at the sand layers in the filter, the top part of the sand that perform most of the disinfection of the water and cleans the water, rids it of the bacteria. That is referred to as the smush deck layer. I think it's a German word, I am not sure, for a layer, something layer, cleaning layer, something of the sort. Or it is also referred to by the English community as the biological layer. And this situation led to higher operational costs by over $7,200 per annum because of the use of chemical, given that the operators did not understand clearly how the smush deck layer operates. This is a picture showing you what the top of the filter water looks like before the training conducted in Japan. And many engineers and operators were always worried and bothered by the smell, the presentation, and the output of this water because of the way it looked. It looked different from the rapid sand filters in other regions of Guyana. Unknowing to us, we didn't understand clearly the use of the slow sand filter. So we end up adding chemical. However, you will learn that this look for the filter is totally normal. So this is showing you a bucket of the chemical that we use chlorine in powdered form, and we mix it manually in a pail of water, and we end up throwing this mixture in the filter with the whole intention of controlling the algal growth. I think at one of my CW paper was based on the control of algae in this same filter. So this is a photo demonstrating the plant operator inducing the mixture of hypochlorite, calcium hypochlorite with water into the filter to reduce the growth of algae, which is contrary to the Japanese usage of the slow sand filters. But because of lack of knowledge, this was the practice in Guyana. Now, additionally or further, there is a knowledge gap in the maintenance procedure. So during the cleaning and scraping of the filter, an average of 20 millimeters of sand is removed. This needs to be reduced as it is decreasing the sand content faster than necessary. So adjusting the scraping thickness by half can result in cost savings, and adjusting the thickness also save not only finance, but save the smush deck layer from recreating every time the filter is put into operation. This is what the filter look like when it's dried and drained and ready to be cleaned. This is actually the smush deck layer where you can see the biological community at rest. Most of this is dried algae with maybe the animals that are now dead and ready to be removed so that a new layer can regrow and form. This is what it look like. So this is what you scrape periodically on maybe a fortnightly basis. This is the filter after it is cleaned. And I mentioned on the previous slide that we need to reduce the thickness of cleaning from 20 mm by half so that we can save rightfully some of the filter media. In this case, you're looking at silica as the main filter media, or what we refer to as the sand, the white sand. Challenges on this journey of the slow sand filter technology. Lack of correct information or knowledge gap, as I mentioned. Replenish rate of sand is very high and incorrect cleaning. And we have limited understanding of the biological community, and there is need for training. So, objective and output of the action plan that was prepared after the KCCP. The overarching objective of this action plan is to bring awareness to the HR of GWI on the better use of the slow sand filters and its financial and environmental benefits by providing training, testing, and operational improvement to the use of this slow sand filter technology. Note, in my presentation, I use EPS and slow sand filtration interchangeably because they refer to the same thing. The older literature has it as slow sand filters, and the more updated literature refers to it as the ecological purification system. So there are 4 outputs that the action plan will generate. And the fourth main output is preparation presenting technical report on the KCCP and water management to the decision makers of GWI so that we can bring about improvement and changes. The second main output is to organize and conduct thorough technical and theoretical practical training to staff member, which the training preparation is already completed and there is a plan. The third one is restructure the operating and maintaining procedure of the EPS to improve cost saving and efficiency in delivery of treated water. And finally, to construct and observe a bucket model of the EPS, something which can be used in areas where there are scarcity in potable water or limited access to good drinking water. In order to achieve those four main output, there are some activities. And for the main output number one, I have three activities, such as gather information, review the literature, which was completed in order to prepare for this presentation and the training and presentation to my organization, CEO, and board members. Preparation and compile and review information gather. Perhaps if there is time, I can give you a glimpse of one of the report. Prepare the technical report for senior management to explore best practices. I think I can safely say all of this was already achieved. Output number two has three activities as well, which I mentioned to train, and to train. Preparation of technical training, notes to conduct staff training on EPS at the plans that were built by JICA, organize the training at Region 6, and conduct staff training to targeting 16 technical personnel that are directly involved in this low sand filtration technology. The activities leading to the operation and maintenance output. The first one is to analyze the present operation of the EPS, preparation of and updating of the training procedures, testing of the EPS for performance and efficiency. Of course, conducting the training, making changes to the use of chemical and cleaning of the filters. We need to do periodic tests to validate that we're actually making improvement to these filters. And the fourth output activities include gathering necessary resources to construct the bucket model. And this is one of my favorite activity, and I'll tell you why in a few moments. That's a picture to the left of the actual bucket model that was constructed during the training. And the pictures show the other participants from the rest of the countries. I think there were people from Fiji and Samoa and Timor-Leste as well. We need to build the bucket model and observe it for validation to ensure that it's performing the function that it should have. So I told you a lot about best practice, the science, the technology, the training. What was done so far at GWI? The report on management and opportunity for improvement was completed. That was shared with management. Some of the recommendations are being considered strongly for adaptation to GWI. The bucket model was designed and training plan started, and we are to roll out the training. This is actually the training plan with the validation of our training officer in GWI. It's a 2-day training where we target 16 operators, and it will be specifically the slow sand filtration technology. This is a design drawing of the bucket model, which I indicate to you is one of my favorite activity from this training. And this is so because I am from the country area, as you would refer to. I'm not a city boy, and I grew up in an area where there were tremendous water shortages. And fortunately or unfortunately, I'm now functioning in the capital city of Georgetown. But where I am from, there are still people that would require this bucket model. So it's something I'm looking to implement back into reality so that people can utilize. And though you may not recognize, this is actually small buckets that can be handheld, maybe three to 5 gallon, and you only need about 4 buckets with some small half-inch pipe fittings. You can utilize water from rain, the untreated pipe water, or even trench water. And you can utilize the ecological purification system, which also use silica sand, natural from the ore that can be found in Guyana here. So it is also gravity fed. If you notice the highest level of bucket has the untreated, and as it passes through the URF, then the sand filters before it reaches the treated water. It is all gravity fed. The concrete blocks do not necessarily need to be expensive block that you're to purchase from any block maker. You can utilize any block that you have. It is just to guarantee an elevation so that the bucket model operate on a gravity system. This is just a material list for those that may be interested later on the list of material that you require to construct the bucket model. This is the bucket model that was constructed by my class and the KCCP in Okinawa City. Of course, we construct and it was functioning, but because of the 1 month period, mind you, for the smush deck layer to effectively treat the water, it requires some time so that the biological community can grow and act on the water to remove the impurities. This is a Gantt chart put together with costings and activity over the next 3 years to implement all the learning activity that I was able to garner from the KCCP. And I can tell you with high level of positivity for year 2025, those activity plan, we are actually on par. And so far, there are no limitations. The training wasn't only based on theories and practice and visits. We had opportunity too to visit various suppliers, and I put this up. Whilst Guyana do not do desalination, I don't know if any one of you utilizes it, but this is a small domestic desalination device that is being built in Japan and supplied the company worldwide. The filtration rate is 60 liters per hour, which is adequate domestically, and it's very low powered, uses domestic supply of 110 voltage, and gives you a very high output in terms of quality. This is something that fascinated me on the training, as we in GWI have challenges with pipes that are submerged across the river. As I mentioned, Guyana is a land of many water, and we do have pipes below the riverbed with challenges, of course. Sometimes we seek external help. Unfortunately, during this training, I was able to gather information on submarine pipes utilized in Japan and around Asia. This photo shows you a manhole. That's the ladder to enter the manhole. Of course, this is below a major highway under the road. It shows you the pressure release valve and the DMA setup, as I mentioned, which is actually district metered area that measure the volume of water that enters into a particular district. This system would send the information back to the computer or the operator's telephone to show you the volume of water used, and from The demand in the area, the operators will be able to detect if there is a leak, a major burst, or theft in the area. This photo shows a storeroom where there are various access to different pipe materials, and it is not the main company storeroom. This is within a particular district, so the contractors and the field team do not need to rush back to the main storeroom and gather in materials. This is a satellite storeroom they can use in order to bring about efficiency. You notice there are various color, type, and size of pipe fittings, which give them very good repair and reaction time to a burst main within their system. Now, this one is very interesting because these metallic pipe fittings that were removed below the ground, they had observed that a lot of corrosion, as you can see in the picture, took place. And from their analysis, they recognized that they can prevent this by simply wrapping the pipe with a plastic wrapping. And that is something that we're considering here because we encounter the same issues as well. This operator is showing a picture in the manual of a slow sand filter that is behind him in the picture. The picture in the booklet that he's showing shows you the different layers of sand. You notice the lower level, they have the bigger gravel. And as you increase in height, you have the smaller silica sand. And that is how the slow sand filter is constructed. Now, this is something I have not noticed, at least for me, any part of the Caribbean, including Guyana. This is actually a small pond with fishes, live fishes swimming around. I think the picture is a bit blur, but that is what you're looking at. Now, what they do from the intake water that is being received to the plant, this water passes through a small pond, and they have these fishes that live there on continuous basis. And this is an indication that once these fishes are healthy, then there is a clear indication that your water that is being fed to the plant is safe. That is something for consideration. Now, I've been on the last couple of slides on the technical sides of the water. Let me tell you a little bit about the cultural experience and my impression about Japan. Now, it cannot be overemphasized, but Japan is one of the cleanest countries I have visited. I mean, I've lived in Canada, I lived in the UK, I've been quite a few times in the US, and a lot of the Caribbean countries, including my own countries, and I can tell you, without a doubt, Japan is the cleanest country I've ever seen. They have very rich culture, and if anyone in the listening here intend to go there, know that it is very rich in culture and heritage, and some of the things we practice or do openly in the Caribbean may be a bit not acceptable in Japan. So we need to know that respecting the culture is important. They're very mannerly, very much polite, and they have very healthy and lovely food. Yes, I know all of your countries have lovely food, but they stand out because they have a lot of variety which they grow locally. Now, what did I enjoy most about this experience? There are various things other participants for me I haven't seen, at least around places that I went. Public bath. You may have seen it in movies, but this is something that is big in the Japanese culture. And this is one among many other things, but this is one that stand out for me, the public bath. On your left, they utilize a lot of coin even to $500 notes you can have in coin. They have $100, $50, even to the as low as 10 and 5 cents in coin, and utilize those on a regular basis. I mentioned the food. This is on the right is a snap of the food that is available at the OIC. I don't know about you, but this for me is very healthy and enjoyable. I did mention to you, ladies and gentlemen, that the presentation is not totally technical. It's a mixture of culture and technical and otherwise. This is a picture of the actual OIC building where the participants are being housed, and there are strict rules that must be adhered with respect to the curfew, with respect to no access zone, but do not be intimidated. They're all rules which help you as participant to be safe and also respect each other in the location. This here, the photo on the left shows the rice pounding equipment, and they have a rice festival which is done annually, which I was able to participate. I enjoyed it, of course. The middle picture show you part of their architecture utilizing bamboo technology. And the picture on your right, where there are a lot of people cooking, that was also the rice festival where they're converting sweet and savory from the rice pounding dough. So I know I've been speaking a lot. It's about 15 minutes. In conclusion, from the whole experience, before I go to questions, there are distinct knowledge gaps that exist between the operators of GWI where I work on the EPS and the present understanding of the technology in Japan. So the onus is upon me to bridge that gap. I'm well aware of that, working towards that. Opportunities exist for cost saving at GWI once the operating and maintenance of the slow sand filters or the EPS are updated to adopt the best practices learned. And the famous bucket model of the EPS presents a unique low-cost solution to areas that are deprived of potable water. Now, these are just 3 conclusions gathered. There are other things that I have learned that, are meaningful. This is just an ending slide to show you some of the rich culture in Japan. Of course, I cannot overemphasize thank you to JICA and the Japanese for this exposure, because GWI is benefiting from this training. It's notable though on this picture that on the top left-hand corner, that is one of the consultant that built the plant in Guyana in 2008, which is my first interaction with JICA. And of course, I need to mention the picture on the bottom middle, where there is a female holding up a plaque with a Japanese writing. There are opportunities for home exchange, and I was able to be housed for a few moments, more than 2 days, interacting with a Japanese family to see how they live and conduct their daily life without any cost to me. That's a voluntary program which I participated in, and for me it was a life-changing experience. The picture next to her with the white goat, that is actually a pet at the office of one of the water company. So on lunch break, the staff will come out and pet that goat, and it's something that strike out as interesting to me. And those other 2 pictures with the female dancing, we were able to participate in non-technical but cultural activities during the stay in Japan. So ladies and gentlemen, as I promised you not to go over an hour, I think I have spoken continuously for about 53 minutes or so. And I would like to hear from you, comments, question, interaction on this presentation or any other thing that you would want to interact, that you feel free. As you heard from Mr. Ignatius, I lecture at the Teachers College, and I don't ever speak for more than 30 minutes continuously without having a pop quiz or interaction with the student. It will be an injustice to me not hearing from you. If it's just to say, just hi, because this is my first interaction with CAWASA. So I therefore return the floor to Mr. Ignatius to conduct the rest of the interaction. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. This is so comprehensive and so rich. I was just musing about the goat as a pet, and you coming out of Guyana, you know that is synonymous with curry, but I wouldn't go there this afternoon. Uh, but I think this is exactly what I was impressed with the presentation, and that I thought it was something that was so special to present to our colleagues in the region. And that is about, as you mentioned, trying to bridge the gap. So I'm going to open the floor without further ado. I think first Dr. Vlugman, Ton has his hand up. Go ahead, Ton.
Yeah, yes, I mean, this was a fantastic presentation on many, many levels. And I hope I don't take the thunder away from other people. When I came to the Caribbean 40 years ago, I was truly amazed not seeing more slow sand filters. I said, where are they? They should be here. Now, and in Jamaica, in Guyana, when I was in Guyana, I went to Village 56 when JICA just finished the plant when I was based there. And finally, somebody, and JICA did a very good job, and they trained the operators. And when you presented, I was checking if my sound was off because I screamed. Because that you put in chlorine in the soil sand filters. But as you said, attrition, you train 8 people, but after a number of years, the knowledge is gone. And that in itself is an enormous important lesson. Also, my kudos to JICA that they have this program, a knowledge sharing program. And I think more organizations should do that. When you introduce technology or new technology in a country, you need just not a training of technicians, 8 or 10, but it needs continuous training. So I was very impressed with that. And your exposure to Japan, I mean, I was jealous. I wish I was still working for POW. They would send me to Japan for a week. It was wonderful. Now, Schmutzdecke, that is this biological layer on top of the slow sand filter, Schmutzdecke. Schmutz is a German word for dirt. It's a layer of dirt where all the microorganisms are and where the water goes through, and it is biological. No need for chlorine, no need for further intervention. Is let it go. And when it gets too thick, your water level will rise, and then you know that you have to remove an inch or half an inch. So, but oh yeah, the fish. There is a very common practice in the water treatment system. In Holland, we do that.
Okay.
We use trout in the old days because Rotterdam uses river water from the Rhine and the Waal, the Maas, the Waal, the Meuse, and the Rhine. And the industries down upstream use toxins. And we use trout in a channel, and with a photo indicator, when the trout swims upstream against the stream, and as long as they keep swimming upstream is good, but when they get intoxicated, they cannot swim and they float, they push back, and then they hit a photosensor. And when that goes off, we know that we have to cut off the water because some toxin in it. But that's a very common, what they call a bioassay or indicator. Yeah. No, but thank you so much for this presentation. And I have seen slow sand filters in Suriname.
Okay.
But again, people do not really know how to keep them operational, and they are failing and breaking down. And whatever system is put in, and slow sand filter is one of the simplest, robust systems, it always needs proper treatment, proper operation, and proper maintenance. And you need always people that are trained in that specific technology to keep it going very well, going well. And thank you very much for sharing your experience. It was highly enlightening and encouraging. And I give the floor to other people.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
thank
Ton.
you. Thank you. I breathe a sigh of relief because I was worried that people are not flowing what I was saying because of the exposure to the slow sand filters. So I'm happy to hear your comment.
Yeah, and we should promote slow sand filters. They're very cheap to operate, basically, because you have no moving parts. You just need to clean the smutsdekken partially once in a while and let nature take course of itself. It is a very natural system in a concrete basin. The only thing you build is a concrete basin with some layers, different layers of sand, gravel and sand, and that's nature take care of itself. I'm truly amazed that no more countries use this system.
I think the fish, I know that in some of Wasco's, or many of Wasco's plants, they do have the fish in the system. And also, I think in some of their treatment facilities, I think in this beautiful one at the back of me, I think they have some component with some sand filter. But I'm not one of the
I know St. Lucia
operators.
used roughing filters.
All right, yeah.
Which is not really a sand filter, but is a gravel filter to remove the silt from the rivers.
Okay.
And a sand filter will clog too quickly when you use silted sourced water. That's why they could use sand filters. Anyway, but
yeah, I think Kevin Carter says in the chat that thank you for an excellent presentation. You may consider putting an abstract for the CWWA conference.
yes,
Yeah.
forgot to mention. Yes, of course, this should be presented at the CWWA conference. Yeah, somebody should pay for you to go there. It's all the way in Belize. No, it's not an easy trip.
I see Ton is going to sponsor you.
No, I'm looking for sponsorship for myself.
Okay.
No, Kevin, you're right.
Any other comments? I'm sure so many of you are in the treatment systems. We'd like to hear from you.
I would actually like to know from other operators and technicians in the region, what do they think of the slow sand filter? I want to get some feedback.
I think Kevin has the floor, has his hand up.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't want to interrupt because I think Ton has a great questions. I'd like to hear what some of the other water companies. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for an excellent presentation. I want to build on what I mentioned about the CWWA conference. We also have a water loss specialist group. I don't know if you've heard about, but we're having a webinar tomorrow. So if you'd like that information, I can post that as well. I'm interested, as Ignatius and several people on here know, Valerie, of having this type of program, twinning, whatever you'd like to call it, in Florida. I'm interested in the structure of how you got involved. Were there other water utility people from around the world? Did they select certain countries? And it sounds like this is something that the federal level government funds and then works with the local utilities in Japan. They have like a cooperation.
So yes, I can respond to you partially, and I hope that if Rebecca is online, perhaps she can assist me. So, yes, you need to be nominated by a government body, which in my case was my CEO for GWI. And yes, I met a lot of other people from around the world, not only in water. I met people from St. Lucia, Trinidad, Jamaica, Dominica, a lot of places. Of course, in Asia, Samoa, Timor-Leste, Fiji. Um, there are quite a number of places. And you raise a good point because of my present portfolio. Sometimes I encounter difficulty having a supply of a particular equipment to use in my operation. I'm able to network with these other guys to have them sending me information and suppliers. So yes, it's a good point. I met other people. We were able to exchange. I am still in contact with those people. As a matter of fact, we exchange information. Um, Me personally, I was nominated to go, and after the nomination was accepted, I know the process very well after then. I need to supply him all my credentials and adhere to the medical standard, the documentation, the interview, the visa, and the travel arrangement. And it was well supported by the JICA Dominica office that's responsible for the Caribbean. How they found me to nominate me, I don't know. That was an email sent to me by the government of Guyana.
We can tell you how
So,
we can, we can tell you how, Jim San. It was
okay.
from the St. Lucia office from your colleague, Mr. Duque, Richard, who had gone to on a similar KCCP course, and he recommended you.
Yeah.
Thank you
But,
very much. Thank
but
you.
you have also very impressive CV, Jawaharlal. You have a very
Well,
impressive CV. That stands out too.
well, yes, you need to submit that to them because they're looking for certain exposure in the water industry before they accept you to the program.
But you have many degrees. I was actually impressed when you were introduced. Very impressive CV.
Yeah, well, in order, it's competitive in GWI where I am. So in order to move up the ladder, you need to keep abreast with technology. So that where that comes in.
Great, thank you. Thanks again for a great presentation.
If I may, hi, this is Rebecca from the JICA Dominican Republic office. Jim San, thank you very, very much for this wonderful presentation and for explaining in such great detail the contents and how the KCCP program works. Thank you so much. In regards to your question, Mr. Carter, JICA has the KCCP program as one of its flagship cooperation programs, and as part of that program, JICA offers hundreds of courses to the many different countries that are partner allies, partner governments of Japan. And so, as part of the bilateral cooperation program that we have with Guyana, we offer certain number of allocations every year for them to select among the list of courses that we offer, for them to select the ones that best align with the priorities of the government and which also align with the priorities of JICA for the Caribbean region. So they selected this course, which we had offered in Guyana before. And it's, as you know, because of the explanation of Jim San, is also a very important area because we have the government of Japan has constructed more than one water treatment plant. And we also have selected water as one of the priority sectors in the region. So we jointly with the government, in consultation with the government of Guyana, selected this course. And so when the course opened, when the center opened the applications for the course, we sent out the invitation to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Guyana, who then was in charge of communicating with the Guyana Water Incorporated company to select the nominee, which, because of his credentials, ended up being Jim San, Mr. Ramjug. So that is how he got involved with the program. But we also have an upcoming, what we call country-focused training program in the water sector. And for that, I would actually like to ask my colleague from the JICA St. Lucia office to explain to you a little bit more, because it's going to be very similar to what we did. It's going to be a course offered to several Caribbean countries, based on or similar to what Mr. Jim participated in. So, Aya-san, would you mind explaining a little bit more about that?
Sure, and I'm conscious of time, so I'll be as concise as possible. So just to say that we at JICA, we are looking at new areas of cooperation. Yes, JICA has been in the water sector for some time, obviously from Jim San's presentation, but we're looking specifically at non-revenue water, which is a huge problem, as we know, in the region. So last year, thanks to a former colleague, Urishi Hata-san, some of you may be aware where she's moved on, but really pushed the effort to get JICA to look at this area. And so a study was conducted of this issue of non-revenue water in the water sector generally in Barbados and the OECS. Lovely study, huge study. I almost said Ignatius-san. Ignatius, I'm sure you have a copy, and so feel free to share. But one of the main issues that came out of that study, yes?
Give me your phone, please.
Oh, I think you're on, I think you need to mute somebody. Anyway, so coming out of that study, one of the main challenges that came out was the lack of training provided to water sector operators who are mostly in the field. There seemed to be some kind of asynchronous thing where you have the upper level management and so on, very well trained, that sort of thing, very highly credentialized, etc. But those people who go out in the field, the on-site technicians and so on, yes, trained, and thanks to CAWASA as well and other institutions, the professional certification is there. But we felt JICA could play a role in getting that level of the water sector even more trained, building their capacity, and particularly when it comes to non-revenue water. And so out of that, we have come up with what is now called a country-specific training. So it's not like what Jim San went on. Jim San went on sort of the regular KCCP training, group and country, group training, focus training. But country-specific means that we have come up with a course that targets our region in particular. In this case, the Barbados and OECS region are on a specific issue. In this case, non-revenue water, although the course will look a lot like what Jim San did. And the idea is over the next 2 years, between this year, 2025 and 2026, we're going to be looking at training a complement of about between 12 and 14 persons nominated by their water utility companies, to go up to, yes, Okinawa, and do, as I said, a course similar to what Jim San did, but with a focus on non-revenue water. So we've begun the process. We're very happy about it. And coming out of that training, we want to form a network, a regional network of water sector operators who had participated in the course to sort of form almost like a community of practice where they can share best practices, knowledge, networking, and so on. JICA is trying to build the human capacity sector of the water and specifically non-revenue water issue in the region. We're also going to be having a non-revenue water expert come in 2026, April 2026, based at WASCO in St. Lucia, but we'll also be sharing his knowledge and expertise with Barbados and the OECS, but he'll be based in St. Lucia for the next 2 years when he comes in 2026. So JICA is making a real push to tackle this problem of non-revenue water. And the course is November 12th to December 21st of this year. So that will happen. And then next year, I suspect with a similar time period. And we're looking forward to the nominees. We've invited Mr. Jean. Mr. Jean, I will be tackling you later to see if you can join us in Japan. And we also hope to have a representative of the Caribbean Development Bank there. So Rebecca-san, Haruna-san, have I covered everything? I think.
Yes, perfectly. Thank you very much, Aya-san.
That's amazing. That's great. I mean, that's just music to our ears. Looking forward to your progress, bringing progress to the region.
Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Yeah.
I'd love to get your details. I'll find out from Mr. Jean because
we
like to get.
You.
Great, thank you.
I'm going to put it in the chat.
Okay, great. All right. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Deli. And thank you to the other colleagues from JICA who have come in on the on the talk on the chat here and given us some elaborated on some of the issues. I think we have two people with their hands raised. I can't see who it is, but please go ahead. Yes, Valerie, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Really interesting presentation, and really happy to see what JICA is doing. I was working with JICA in Kenya as well, so that was terrific. But just wanted to comment what you're saying about sorry, just trying to send my son off, about the training. There is a lot of training available through CAWASA and through who I represent. Kevin is on our board of directors and Ton is on our advisory board for Operators Without Borders. And we have complete sets of courses on water, wastewater safety, laboratory, that are offered free of charge to utilities on anything that they need. And we either do it virtually or we come to the Caribbean and train intact work groups. So we would love to talk to anybody that's looking for this. I see your focus is on non-revenue water. We're working at British Virgin Islands right now on doing training on non-revenue water and other aspects. But the training is there for the offering. It's only the only drawback we have is that people don't ask for it. So there is a lot of things available, and I see Ton, nodding his head, and Kevin, knows we've been trying very hard to get utilities in the Caribbean interested, but very often they're just so busy that that it never comes to pass. And it is free and it is available. So just wanted to make that point.
Thanks for that. So I guess as a sort of collaborating organization, it's good for us to know that. And so as we push our efforts, we'll also publicize yours, I think.
Yeah, if you're going to be talking to Kevin, Kevin, as I say, is on our board of directors, and maybe I'll let you have some conversations with him and seeing how we could collaborate.
Right, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, actually,
On
non-revenue water, I have a horror story as well. When I came to the Caribbean 39 years ago, well, make it 40, I worked for PAHO. PAHO had an engineering division called CEPIS, was based in Peru. CEPIS is a Spanish acronym, but anyway, they had developed a non-revenue water control program. And I offered it. I went to St. Lucia. Mr. Calix was then the direct executive manager of WASCO, and I went to Mr. Yearwood, the BWA, offering a free program on non-revenue water and leak detection. They were not interested there were senior managers. And I asked, what is your non-revenue? Oh, no, not much. I said, but do you do leak detection? No. But so I said, in my fresh from university and from remembering lectures, if you don't do leak detection, it's about 40–50%. Oh, they were insulted. How can you say this? What is it in your country? Say, well, when you do good leak detection, you might still have 10% or something. Oh, that's what we have to. And then a year later, CEDA did leak detection in Barbados, I must say, Barbados. And they measured in the different system 60–90% loss. Can you operate an organization, a company that has 60–90% of its produce just disappear? It is extremely important for your financial viability to do leak detection. But the culture is not there for some reason. And Mr. Jim Ramjug, you have done leak detection. I'm sure you have your own stories to tell. But I am absolutely flabbergasted in the lack of interest in providing resources to reduce the leaks, because that is your income. You sell water, people pay. And so I'm getting very excited here. And maybe I'm saying too much.
Yeah, I hear you, Ton, but we're running out of time. And also to say that I think from that time when you came in, I think you can well agree that a lot has been going on in the water sector to treat with non-revenue water, which is why it is high on the agenda with JICA, as well as with the water loss group in with the CWWA. So
Yes.
there's a lot of there's been a tremendous improvement with mindset and making those policy changes and actual changes in the water sector. So I have to say that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I know you get very excited about that, and that's all good. All right, Jim. So any other comments? I didn't see any other hands up, but we've gone 90 minutes now. So I think we would need to wrap up.
Yeah. Another excellent presentation for on the CAWASA webinar. Wonderful.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Jim, for this excellent production or presentation. And this is what as I said, it is all about what we do here on a Wednesday so that we can share knowledge on this platform. And our operators and all the partners in water can continue to be updated on what's taking place in the water sector. And as long as it's Wednesday, we will be talking from A to Z on water and wastewater and other areas related so that we can help to build more efficient water systems in the Caribbean region. So I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. And I just have one more thing I would like to do before I sign off. Just give me 1 second to get it for you. Where are we? Yeah, just 1 second. It is just pulling a plug for our
conference.
Okay, just a let me share my screen.
An elegant restaurant and bar, a fully air-conditioned conference room, and other stunning.
The 8th Caribbean Water Operators Conference will be held here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Welcome visitors to the Gem of the Antilles.
This year's conference will be held at the Beachcombers Hotel, a charming boutique hotel featuring an elegant restaurant and bar, a fully air-conditioned conference room, and other stunning amenities. The Water Operators Competition will be held at the beautifully picturesque Annisvale Solid Waste Compound, where participants will vie to outdo each other for bragging rights and cash prizes. And to wrap up this year's conference, the field visit will see participants travel to the Perseverance Water Supply System.
We can't wait to see you.
Right. I hope you got that. It's our Water Operators Conference in St. Vincent. And that will be on the June 25th to the 27th. See you around. We'll keep you posted with what's taking place. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you.